TQ e-bike tasked me to discover what natural ride feel is. So they sent me in search of the best trails in the Pyrenees, starting up in the mountains and finishing down by the sea. I'd have 5 days to put their HPR 50 e-bike system to the test. My furthest easterly point would be Tremp, dubbed as having similarities to parts of British Columbia. This ridgeline would take me all the way to some of the biggest rock slabs I've ridden in Europe. Tremp is a new era mountain bike area. Built lovingly by the local trail association, almost every mountain I looked at had its own trail network. I'd follow the Spanish culture on this trip, ride in the morning, take a siesta during the hottest part of the day, then recharge the bike and ride until the sun set. Having a lightweight e-bike allowed me to discover and uncover more, attack the climbs and rip the descents just like normal. Trails were easily lappable thanks to the TQ motor. I can use the e-bike's power how I like, be conservative or go full gas. Here I'm in the highest mode for maximum fun. The power transfer is smooth, consistent and there just when I need it, which is what I think of when asked how to describe natural ride feel when climbing. Tremp felt as though it was built differently. The way the trail flowed made it effortless to ride. I could look ahead, see where I was going, and attack the trail without holding back. As the evening light dropped, I'd head to ride the famous Dragon Can. Built amongst a web of ridgelines, the trail narrowly weaved its way along the red clay spine with sections only as wide as my tire tread. How the bike handles and how maneuverable and controllable it is another key element when I think of natural ride feel. The full TQ HPR 50 system only weighs 3.9 kilograms, which means I can be playful with the bike and tackle even the most technical sections of trail without holding back or compromising my riding style. Leaving Tremp, it became clear that this industrial town was on the brink of being revolutionized by mountain biking. My next stop would be Ainsa. Smack bang in the middle of the Pyrenees, I'd be underneath huge towering pillars of rock. Comparatively to Tremp, it couldn't be any more different. Having left the new era of trail building, here the trails date back to medieval times. An interesting fact I learned was that the rocks under my tires were actually fossils, which were formed around 40 million years ago. What I love about lightweight e-bikes is how versatile they are. Being smart with how I use the different modes allows me to maximize my time on the trail, and this is also where motor tuning with the TQ app comes into play. I'll have low and mid mode give me between 100 and 200 watts of power, and then switch into high to give me the full 300 watts of power I need for tackling the most technical and challenging sections. This range of power and tunability means I can ride almost anything. Pyrenees were formed some 65,000 years ago by the collision of two tectonic plates. The entirety of the mountain range spans 435 kilometers from the Mediterranean Sea in the east to the Atlantic Ocean in the west. Natural ride feel is also about being able to enjoy where I am, and the TQ system is almost silent, so I'm not distracted by any motor noise. All I can hear is my tires digging into the dirt and the feeling of the wind rushing by my face. Dotted throughout the valleys of the Pyrenees are castles, which stand proud on the summits and were once used as ways to communicate that enemies were in the area. This one in particular dates back to the 11th century and was in use right up to the 18th century. The perimeter trail had been chiseled into the stone, leaving an overhang to make accessing the castle by any enemies that bit more challenging. The once access paths to the castle have now been reworked into a network of mountain bike trails. Finishing down deep in the valley, the eroded dirt spines and ridges were incredibly fun to ride on. Fitting a range extender, I added another 160 watt-hours of battery life, and it was time to see just how close I could get to the big mountains. I climbed 750 high meters over 10 kilometers, and with the assistance of the TQ motor, it meant getting here was a breeze. Arriving at my summit, I'd start out in the open. The terrain was loose, and a contrast to the other trails I'd been riding. I had just enough battery left over to use on the undulating descent, which wrapped itself around the face of the mountain. Powering up the short climbs amidst the descent kept the trail flowing and made for a lot of fun. I finished up my ride back in the old town of Ainsa as the sun set. South of the Pyrenees is Calatayuh, and I'd been told that it was a must visit due to its unique terrain. Prepping for a big day, I again fitted the range extender, giving me a total battery of 520 watt-hours. Riding out of town, I again used a mix of low, mid and high, climbing up through technical gullies created from extreme waterfall. Finally, I reached what was known as Spanish Utah. The landscape and its formations were exceptional and unexpected. The orange, baked, hard-packed clay with loose ball bearing like rocks on top was again completely different to what I'd ridden over the last few days. The terrain and trails made for a lightweight e-bike playground. My TQ-equipped Scott Voltage had allowed me to ride more trails, have as much fun in the ups as the downs, and descend uncompromised. My final stop would take me to the most westerly points of the Pyrenees, where the mountain range meets the Atlantic Ocean, and I descend all the way to the sea. So, how would I summarize what natural ride feel is? I'd say it's a feeling of riding without limitation, hitting whatever I want, exactly how I like, controlled and comfortably, all whilst riding faster, further, and without compromising any of the fun.